Intellidance here. It's been a while since I've done a live Teacher Tip Tuesday, and I know one of your favorites is when I do unboxing of new props I brought for my dance programs. So as you can see, I have a new box of props that came in. I did take a little sneak peek just because I have a few boxes of different props coming, so you can expect a few of these videos over the next few weeks. But I'm excited to share with you today the first box of props that I've received, and just sharing how I use these props in my class. And of course, if you have ideas, please share them in the comments below as well. I'll also try to share links to different places you can buy the props. Today, all of my props are coming from a Canadian teacher supply store called Scholar's Choice. If you're in Canada, and I believe in the US as well, they can ship directly to you. I love Scholar's Choice. It's a wonderful store for classroom teachers, but they have a huge early childhood and movement section. So it's wonderful for preschool teachers, for dance teachers, music teachers. You can find lots of great resources on there. And I do recommend, if you decide you like buying from their shop, definitely get a membership. They have lots of sales throughout the year for their members, and in fact, I got all of these props when they were having one of their members only 20% off sales, so I saved a bunch of money. And as we all know, we're not getting rich necessarily teaching these classes. We do it out of love and passion. Hopefully you have a comfortable living, but anywhere where we can save a little money definitely allows us to just have a little bit more flexibility with our professional time. So let's see what's first inside the box today. Awesome, so I'm so excited to get these. I'm going to open them out of the case here for you in a moment, but this is a nice bag full of sensory balls, and these are tactile squeaky balls. And I use these in my classes from babies, so about 3 to 4 months of age, all the way up to age 6, 7, or 8. They're a wonderful prop you can add. And I'll just open up the packaging here so you can see. These ones all have a slightly different texture. So right away you're going to be working on some sensory integration with your little ones. Some are a little bit more bumpy. This one's got some like ridges that go all the way around. I really love how bright and colorful they all are. I love bringing color to my class. You'll notice in my classroom, I don't have a lot up on the wall, and that's because for some children, having too much visual stimulation in the room is actually counterproductive to their learning. So I tend to keep my classroom quite clean, quite minimalistic, but I tend to bring out colors with my props. And I do find that's another way to help the children focus on the props. It makes the props that much more exciting because they become the focal point in the lesson, not necessarily other visuals and things I have up on the wall. That's not to say I don't use visuals, I absolutely do, and I'll talk to you about those in the next couple weeks. I have my Intellidance illustrator working on some new visuals for dance teachers that I'm really excited to share with you. But overall, I do recommend don't overload your space with things your students don't need in that moment in time. It just becomes another distraction, especially for the little ones that get so excited when they see something new in the space. But anyways, back to these wonderful balls. So you can see there's lots of different textures, lots of different colors, and they also have a nice little squeaky sound as well, which is lots of fun, just another sensory experience. So this package came with 6. And these ones are just like about a large softball size. And I'll show you, I have a few other ones that I've purchased as well because I do like to use a variety of sizes in my class. Once I've got them all out, I'll explain to you how I use them. So next we've got some of these like really little guys. These ones are nice and cute. These ones are the perfect size for toddlers to hold. They're like about the size of a tennis ball, maybe slightly smaller. And these ones also come in a bunch of different textures. They're nice and soft, and it's cool. It says right on the box, develop dexterity and gross motor skills, and it's true. The other thing I will say is balls are really great for working on children's fine motor development as well. And that's something I really believe. All the gross motor that we're working on, I'll back up a bit here because I realized this is out of frame. All the gross motor that we're working on, anything where children are using their upper body to bear weight, to manipulate a prop, all of that's really supporting that fine motor development, that finger dexterity, that hand-eye coordination, and these are all really important skills for them once they're in school. So you can see here, there's quite a bit of a size variation between these two balls here, but it gives you some variety. Well, this one's kind of cool. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got, here I come closer, it's got these cool little swirlies on it. See, and these are little things like that kids will notice that, you know, maybe your adults won't necessarily, but I try to notice these things so that when a student says, hey, Miss Jessica, did you notice this? I can identify with them. I find the little ones are so great for helping us just continue to look closely at the world. We tend to get so busy and rush. As adults, I feel like half the time we're missing half of the beauty and the wonder of the world. Another reason I love to work in early childhood. Last set here, these are more your, they're kind of like pointy balls. They've got like little kind of pointers on them. You can buy them lots of places as individual balls, but I went ahead and bought a set here. I like this set because it came with such a wide variety of sizes. So I've got 4 different here, 2 that are about, well, I guess one's slightly smaller, slightly larger. So you can see they're quite textured, they're quite pointy. I actually use a ball similar to this that my massage therapist gave me that's for massaging the bottom of my feet. Dance teachers, if your arches tend to get tight and tired from dancing bare feet all day, totally recommend that. It's really nice for releasing the fascia and the muscles in your feet. But it's also fun for the little ones too to explore. And I find the babies in my babies class, these are the balls they really love to chew on. And that's one thing I will say, especially if you're working in early childhood, you always want to be looking for products, that, especially if they're made out of plastic, that are BPA free. We know that little ones are going to be putting everything in their mouth. And that's why I tend to like to buy my supplies from well-established educational stores or sporting goods and dancewear supply stores versus some of the discount shops online coming out of China. I'm not saying that they're all bad and you can find some great products on there, but just be really mindful with your little ones, remembering they are going to put everything in their mouth. So we want to make sure that we are making the classroom as safe as possible for them, considering all those environmental factors. So as you can see now, in front of me I have like a wide variety of these sensory balls, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how I start using them in the babies class. One thing that's really unique about the Intellidance program is that we're not just teaching dance concepts and we're not just teaching music concepts. We are matching a music and a movement concept so that way the music is supporting our physical learning, but our physical learning is also supporting the child's musical learning. And that's really important to me, that when I'm developing a child, I'm not just looking at, can they do this dance skill or can they do this music skill? Can they combine these skills? And our little ones are really interested in classifying the world and learning about the world. Opposites and clear contrasts really help support that cognitive learning and creating new pathways in the brain. So one of the first concepts that I explore both in my Intellidance babies and in my Intellidance Tykes class, Tykes is for ages 12 to 24 months, babies is for 3 to 11 months, is we're looking at the concept of space. And the most basic way we look at that is through movement and stillness. And we're matching that musically with sound and silence and working on cognitive skills like inner hearing or audiation, the ability to hear a word or a melody in my head when no sound is present, which is a really important skill in terms of our little ones having those listening skills, working on sound discrimination. Can they hear those differences? Not only is that going to support them as they grow up to become dancers, can they hear the music? Can they hear those changes? Can they count the music? Can they hear the tempo change? Can they hear the dynamic change, which is going to impact their dancing? But it's also so supportive of all children. We need to make sure that they have that auditory discrimination ability so that when they're learning language, they can hear the difference between the sounds. When they're in school, they're able to focus on the teacher's voice and have the other noise fall to the background. So that's why I really like to start at our youngest level of classes, matching the idea of movement and stillness with sound and silence. It's a very clear contrast that little ones can understand, even from the time they're babies, they notice it. It was really cool. I was teaching a babies class this past week, and we were playing a move and stop sound and silence game. And one mom had to step out to nurse her baby. And often what we find is when we're playing the game, during the moving sections, the babies are moving and kicking while their moms are dancing with them in the arms. And in the stillness sections, the babies become still and very aware and checking out the space. And so I asked the mom, because she hadn't actually participated in the activity, if her baby had a response to that sound and silence going on. And she said, yes, in fact, her baby did. When the music was playing, her baby would be actively nursing. But when the music stopped and the baby identified that change in the environment auditorily, the baby stopped suckling. So it's pretty cool. It just goes to show at what a young age our babies are aware. So in the babies class, when we're exploring sound and silence and movement and stillness, we do it in lots of different ways, and that's another thing that's unique about the Intellidance program. It's not just looking at the little one's physical development. We're fine-tuning all of these concepts through a variety of physical, auditory, visual, and tactile experiences. So in the sensory play section of my babies class with the balls, we play a game called moving and stopping balls. The mums and the babies all sit in a big circle, and I hand the balls out to the mums. I always make sure I have enough, one for the babies, one for the caregivers. And we lay or we sit all the babies around the circle with us. And when the music plays, we roll the balls through the space. And this is working on a few different skills with our babies. For our youngest babies, they're really working on their visual development, eye tracking. Can they track the moving object? And they're going to follow those balls moving all around the room. Another important reason to keep the balls a nice bright color, that contrast is easy for the youngest babies to see. For our older babies, they're going to add on to that eye tracking, and it's going to start to become a hand-eye coordination activity. They're going to start reaching and grasping for the balls as they roll by. It's quite an exciting opportunity for the little ones. Some of the older ones may even start trying to push or grab a ball and pass it to their caregiver as well. So they're starting to imitate some of those movements that they see. So as the music's playing, we have this wonderful dynamic visual of the balls moving all around the space. There's music playing, it's dynamic, it's exciting, it's inviting for the babies. But in the track that I use, called Sky Reel by Eric Chappelle, you can find it on his Music for Creative Dance CDs, there's sections that go shh, shh, shh. And during those shh, shh, shh sections, all we do is we stop rolling the balls. And I have the caregiver sit with me in silence. And we use that silence to allow the babies to process all of that sensory input we've just provided them. So it gives them an opportunity not only to have a little break from that very big sensory experience of sound and movement and color and texture. So it's giving them their brain that little break, but it's also starting to create the identification of a pattern. When the music plays, the babies see the balls moving. They have that auditory connection. We have movement, we have silence. And then during the silence, we have stillness. So the babies get a chance to process that. So we're using this really clear opposite. And that entire lesson plan for the Intellidance Babies class will be all activities that work on the same concept. So we're reinforcing this new learning throughout the entire class, but we're creating novelty by doing it in different ways. Using the balls to represent movement and stillness, using our music to represent sound and silence. We do dancing games with the babies in arms, so they're physically feeling that movement during the music sections and that stillness during the silence. We use instruments and we'll play along to the music, but again, we'll add that stillness and that pause during the silence, which is so important again for our little ones processing. They're taking in all of that information when we're providing that auditory stimulus and that visual stimulus or that tactile, that physical stimulus. And then we're giving their brain a chance to process and create that connection with the pattern. So these are really, really great. And I find that, the little ones really love to explore with the balls. Sometimes I'll put them out just at the beginning of my baby's class as the parents are coming in to give the babies something to kind of play with. So it gives the moms and the parents a chance to just kind of chat amongst themselves. Once I get to my Tykes level of class, we basically do that same game, but at that age, the little ones are also working on their own ability to roll and grasp a ball. And this is why I like to have a variety of tactile sensations and a variety of sizes. Children are going to be drawn more towards one kind of ball than another. So generally, I'll pass out the balls, and if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll see there's a little poem called My Ball is Round as Round Can Be. You'll be able to find that one. That's my transition activity into ball play. I'll let the little ones come and explore the balls. They pick a ball they want, and then we have them sit across from their caregiver Or I'll have two couples together, so a caregiver and a child and another caregiver and a child. I'll have the caregiver sit with their legs in a nice straddle position so their little ones can sit in front. And then we'll use that same piece of music to practice rolling and the ball from partner to partner. So they're working on that push and that release, as well as that grasp, as well, again, eye tracking, hand-eye coordination. It's just more advanced at this age because the little ones are actively involved in the process. And then we're reinforcing that pattern of stillness when the music goes shh, shh, shh. But the other thing we're kind of working on once we get to the 1 to 2-year-old age is this ability to start looking at impulse control in terms of their emotional development. The Tykes get really excited. I mean, can you blame them? Look at these awesome balls. I want to grab them and play with them and keep them moving through the space. So what we're working on in that shh, 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 and those sections are just nice and short, so it's not too long for a little one who's about 18 months, but we're reinforcing that active stopping, listening, and being aware, and continuing to build that pattern. And it's the cutest thing in the world because once the Tykes start to identify the pattern, their favorite thing to do when we stop is to mimic the shh, shh, shh. And some of them, because their natural inclination when they hear shh is to go to sleep, will even show me this. So it's really interesting to see how even our little ones under the age of 2 are picking up so many different skills just from simply rolling these balls around. Once I get up to the Tots age of class, balls become a really great way to focus on body part awareness and identification, and some problem-solving skills. So in my body parts curriculum, one of the activities that we like to play as an exploration activity or a sensory play activity is balls and body parts. It's very simple. When the music plays, I will show the students either a picture of a body part card, or if they're, they've shown they can identify their body parts, they have that base knowledge, I'll just call one out. And we'll try different ways of moving the balls with those different body parts. So I might call out elbow, for example. And if I were to call out elbow, we'd explore all the different ways we can move or maybe pick up or drop the balls with our elbows. And it's up to you. Sometimes I just put on a song that I feel like has a great energy. I love a lot of the music on Eric Chappelle's CDs. Another set of CDs I really love are Carrie Lynn Nichols' Music for Dancers and Music for Dancers 2. You'll find some really fun instrumental that's very child and parent friendly on there. And sometimes I'll use more of that start and stop music as well. Eric Chappelle has that Sky Reel. He's got another great one called Rock and Stop. I use a ton in my program, especially when we're talking about space and place, move and stop, sound and silence. And another great one with built-in pauses is Islands. So you can find all of those on the Eric Chappelle CDs. Sometimes it's nice to use that established sound, silence, move, stop, and combining them in your classroom as an effective tool. So by my Tots age of class, a lot of the kids are very aware that when the music stops, that means they need to stop and freeze and be listening for the next cue. So that's something I might integrate into this game. And this can be a lot of fun. We can explore lots of different ways. We might explore our feet. We might try our knees. And again, because this is really about the children working on their problem solving and their learning skills, while I'm going to suggest some activities, I'm going to try not to create a right or a wrong. Meaning, if I say, show me all the different ways you can move the ball with your knees, and I envision maybe the children doing this, pushing the ball with their knees, but I have another child that instead decides to do this, I'm not going to tell the child they're wrong. They've listened to the instructions. It's different than what I've suggested, but it's showing that they can apply the directions. Can I identify the body part? Can I explore a new way of moving that prop to that body part? So it's requiring a lot of robust thinking skills for the little ones. It's asking them to apply knowledge of their body as well as awareness with a prop. And another fun way I love to use the balls in my classes is during an obstacle course time. So again, another way to work on their physical skills, maybe more gross motor at this point. So we might try different ways we can move the balls through an obstacle course. I might have the little ones tuck the ball between their legs and squeeze and practice jumping. which is another great way to help if you have little ones that tend to pronate outwards, to get them using those inner thigh muscles to abduct inwards, so we're not dealing with gait issues later on. We might try to take a small ball and put it under our chin and walk along the balance beam. So again, this is requiring the child to work on quite a few different skills. First of all, just finding their balance, keeping their awareness on where that ball is, and they're using that proprioception. How much force do I need to exert on the ball? What angle is that body part in relationship to the object? And how am I combining all of these different skills? So again, we're just continuously layering and layering and layering. One of the kids' favorite ones to do is when you get out your tunnel, have them push the ball with their nose through the tunnel. So this can be a lot of fun too. And if the tunnel's not working for you, you can also just set up a path with pylons. We can work on some kicking skills, some throwing skills. So balls are a really fun thing to integrate into your classes. And I continue to use them with dancers up to age 8. They can be a really fun way to explore, how do we move with a ball through the space? How can I take this prop? Maybe I'm going to connect to another dancer and we have to practice keeping that consistent force between ourselves and that ball so that it doesn't fall down. So that can be a fun exploration. I mean, you could do that with kids as old as teenagers if you're really working on weight sharing and partnering and how do we need to give and take when we're doing that as well. So just a few ideas for using the balls, and again, if you need a little transition activity for balls in your own classes, you can check out that My Ball is Round little rhyme on YouTube. That will be on the YouTube channel as well. So balls, we got lots of those. I'm gonna roll them out of the way here. I will clean up later. Maybe sing my cleanup song while I'm doing it. Oh, storage. That's always a big thing. We're always trying to talk about storage. For me, I spend a lot of time right now teaching mobile classes. I'm at my school, I'm at my Intellidance classes, I'm teaching teacher workshops. So I really need to have storage that's mobile. So I found these online. And again, they're from Scholar's Choice. And they're just this nice mesh bag. So I'm gonna be able to fit all of my balls into this nice mesh bag. It has a nice drawstring at the top, and you can see it's quite nice and big. It's gonna allow me to put that into one of my, I tend to use hockey bags for my mobile props because I like that most of them have wheels and like a handle that I can pull, because sometimes it's quite heavy what I'm bringing around with me. If you're in a studio, you may not need that, but honestly, sometimes it's tricky to find bins that fit all of the different kind of soft or different shaped props that you have. So these mesh bags can be a really nice solution. The other reason I like them is because I'm big on making sure I clean my props after every class. Working in early childhood, we know, probably the little ones under 2, maybe even some that are above 2. This ball, especially because it squeaks, probably they're gonna want to try to chew on it a little bit. My dogs, FYI, also love these, so I have to keep them away from them. But I want to make sure that I spray everything down. And I use a product called Benefect. It's a natural botanical-based product that actually kills 99.9% of viruses, germs, bacteria, mold, mildew. And what I love about it is it's just a spray on and dry, and you can use it on hard and soft materials. But I do find if your container doesn't allow for kind of air to be transferring through, the material is going to stay wet a little bit longer. So another great reason for these mesh bags, I can throw the balls in, I can give them a spray, I can pack it away, and because of the airflow through the mesh bag, those are going to dry much more quickly. So for those of you who have mobile classes or just looking for some different storage ideas for your props, I really love these bags. And I think I got them on sale. They were like, I don't know, $8. They weren't too expensive. And I'm quite happy. I've never ordered a mesh bag through them before. I decided to give it a try. This is like a really sturdy mesh. I don't feel like this is going to rip or tear as well. So that's great. So I now have storage for my balls, which is awesome. Oh, next thing. Okay, I'm super excited about these. So I love to do obstacle courses with my kids, and I know lots of us are using the poly dots in our class, and you can get them in lots of shapes. I tend to just keep with the circles because I find that's just the easiest shape for like day-to-day. I use them in my K to 6 dance program for my K-3 dancers when they come into my studio. I teach my K-3 dancers in a small studio space. I teach my 4 to 6 students in our big school gym. They need more room to go across the floor, and they're just got bigger bodies. But we tend to like to use those poly spots as markers. But I saw these and I thought they were so cute. So I'll come a little bit closer so you can see. So these little guys, they're made out of the same thing. One side is very bumpy. I don't know if you can see. Oh yeah, there you go. So you can see the bumpy. And then this side's like got the smooth. So that you're gonna put the bumpy side down, I think. Yeah, bumpy side down, because that's the grippy side. So they're feet. So I've got a set of feet. They come in lots of different colors. You've got all the colors of the rainbow. So I guess that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 6 sets here. Really nice and bright and colorful. Again, it doesn't matter if your studio space itself isn't like the most fancily decorated. Again, I've got my nice blue wall, my gray floors, there's not a lot else going on. But as soon as I put these down in the space for the little ones, we're creating a visual that's very easy for me to put out and remove as need be. So we can set these up. They're all kind of stuck together, so just gonna take those apart. And then I'll show you, I also got a second set. I will get to where I'm going to with all of this in 1 second. Thank you for your patience. Isn't it exciting? It's like, I don't know if your kids watch those unboxing videos on YouTube. My 2 girls are like kind of obsessed with them. But so then we also have, the last ones were feet. These ones are hands. How cool is that? I really like that. That's like totally the Intellidance orange too, so I'm digging that. And again, it's the same thing. One side's grippy, one side's smooth. They pull apart, so you've got your set. So, again, I was talking about body parts. Well, maybe I'm going to create a body part obstacle course with my students. The feet are a really great way to maybe place out how I want them to jump. So let's say we're talking about creating 2 feet versus 1 feet. What a clear visual this is. I'm going to put 2 feet down, and I'm sorry if you can't quite see this on the video, but hopefully you will in a second. And then maybe I'll take 1 green foot. I'll put that back here. And this is something I would work on at my kids' level of class. So starting at about age 3 or 4, some kids at age 3 obviously are not going to be hopping on 1 foot yet or able to do this pattern. But I could definitely do this with my 4-year-olds, working up to it, my 5-year-olds, my 6-year-olds for sure. So I've just kind of created with these feet a little hopscotch. And like you can definitely do this just with your circle dots, but I'm thinking for myself, if my conceptual focus is really on body parts, how awesome is it to have a visual that's so clearly labeling for the child what the body part is. So I can maybe then have a clear little hopscotch pattern. So I can work on going from a hop to a jump. Ooh, but my feet are sticky. So I'll have to play around with that a bit. Always good to try these things out before you get to class, but same sort of idea. Or you can even have the kids work on stepping from one to the other as well. So lots of ways we could use these in an obstacle course. If you're teaching pathways, or maybe you want to create just a way for the children to move through the space. Maybe I want to create a straight pathway. Maybe I'm going to create a curvy pathway through the space that the kids are going to follow. I just feel like these have so many different possibilities that you could use them for. And again, I really love that they're a novel shape. And sometimes that's all you need in class to keep the little one's attention, to get them excited to try something new. As simple as changing from your circle dots to these, feet as well. Same thing with the handprints. What I was really thinking would be awesome with these is I love to do, with my little ones, I love to do donkey kicks for our obstacle course. Again, to just practice that upper body strength training. So I could place these on the ground, and if my kids were doing an obstacle course, I could let them know every single time they get to the hands, they're going to come into their donkey kick. So working on that ability to maintain their body weight with their upper body, hands, wrists, arms, shoulders, as well as having the core strength to be able to kick their legs up into the air. And I think that'd be really great. And then I could space them out enough so that the little ones, I don't know, like if you've ever done that in an obstacle course, have you noticed they tend to like want to be right behind each other? And as the dance teacher, you're thinking, oh my gosh, do not kick the other child with the teeth. I don't want anyone bleeding or losing teeth in my class. We all have those thoughts running through our heads. So the nice thing with this is that it would clearly label for the kids. I get spaced them out nice and wide apart. I do my donkey kick, and then I move forward to the next one. And I haven't even had time to really think about all the wonderful things I'm going to use these for. I'm sure I'll think of other ideas. I will share them with you when I do. But I tend to love buying props. So when I see something that I see has potential, I definitely buy it, especially when it's on sale. But that's one thing I really encourage you to do. If you're mostly sticking to more traditional across the floor in your early childhood classes, really encourage you to start thinking about how you could maybe turn it into an obstacle course. Not only is that going to support keeping the children excited, engaged in the class, like right away an obstacle course. I mean, I don't think I've ever set up an obstacle course and the kids have gone, oh no, not an obstacle course. Like they automatically love it. So it's a great way to keep them engaged if you're finding you're losing focus when you're getting to that more like across the floor skill development section. This can really help support keeping the kids engaged and wanting to learn. But also from a developmental standpoint, as soon as I add a prop that's really challenging the child to not just think about what is the skill that I'm doing, but how am I using my spatial awareness skills? And that's something that we're using in dance all the time. We initially need them to just be aware of their own body in the space. How do they move it safely? How do I move in this room where there's other people moving and dancing all the time? And then we need them eventually to be able to move in, choreographed groups and sequences and pairings. So obstacle course is a great way to start working on those spatial awareness skills before your little ones are really actively ready to maybe start partnering. And the great news is, what I learned through an obstacle course is how to control my body. Again, we're at that body awareness, that body control, that ability for me to have some proprioception. How much force do I need to use? It's a safe way for kids to practice that, where we're not potentially like using another partner. If I push or pull too hard, I might injure them. But by using a prop, it kind of takes that away. And so it gives you a safe place for the kids to learn and explore as well. And then just a problem-solving perspective too. Sometimes I'll set up an obstacle course and I won't even tell the kids how I want them to move through it. I'll give them a chance to look at the obstacle course for a minute, make a plan, and then they can show me. And sometimes the kids come up with the best and most creative ideas. So again, if you're looking for things to throw into your older preschool classes, or even that right start at beginning of elementary school, that 6 to 8 age range, I find obstacle courses are great. And it's just another way for you to clearly give feedback on cues. So if I am, let's say, jumping on the dots, am I getting enough height and lift? Am I jumping farther? Am I leaping farther? Can I skip around in a curvy pathway rather than just straight forward? So it's giving you lots of ways to continue to challenge the students, to continue reinforcing the skills that you're working on, whether it's more basic physical literacy or specific dance skills. It was actually my 8-year-old ballet class. Their favorite thing was we would create different ballet obstacle courses. And so we might have different, and I'm getting some new props in, so I don't want to give it away too soon, but some of these are ones that I would use. We might, practice our arabesque, balancing on a balancing dome. And so right away, that's giving them the added challenge of working on that core support, but we're, still we're working on our ballet skills. We're identifying arabesque. We might practice our pas de chat jumps over pylons. And I find sometimes, again, just adding that prop, that obstacle, helps the child who maybe cannot get their feet off the ground to get up and over. But rather than starting that when they're 6, 7, 8, we're introducing this idea of moving around obstacles, moving with props at a young age, so that by the time they're 6, 7, or 8, I can maybe put out the really high pylon and my kids are going to be able to show me they can do that as well. So yeah, these are really great, and like I said, I got these ones from Scholar's Choice. I'm fairly sure I've seen them on Amazon in the States, and there's another website, I'm going to have to go back and look, that I know is an American website that I saw these on. But for me, as a Canadian right now with our dollar and duty and shipping, as much as I can, I try to buy stuff from Canada, just because, again, it's budget conscious for my dance teacher life. Last thing I'm going to show you today, and this is something that if you've worked in a school, or you've even been into your child's school, or you've been to school, you've probably seen these all the time. I'll just show you the little picture up here, so you can kind of see. So it's a pocket chart. And again, I really like to have things in my classroom that allow me to put up displays, but that are easily changeable and removable, which is why I like a pocket chart. I have one in my dance room at school. You could also use, at my studio before I had a pocket chart, I had a magnetic whiteboard. And so I was able to display things on that as well. I just need to make sure I always had magnets, or I was adding magnet backings to things. But I do like that they're quick up and quick to put away, so that the visuals don't become overwhelming, or if you've got lots of classes coming in and out, exploring different things throughout the day, you can make those quick changes. But what I like to use the pocket charts for in dance are actually a few different things. So right now at school with my Ks and my 1s, so my 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, we're looking at locomotor and non-locomotor movements for space and place. That's the concept we're working on right now. And what I've created for them, and that's another thing that's going to be coming soon to our online shop, are some of these visuals I've been talking about, is I've created these visual movement cards. And once they're available for sale, I promise I will show them to you. But basically, they're just little laminated cards, and I have two different kinds. Some are just picture-based. So I might have a picture of an animal, I might have a picture of a body part, I might have a picture of someone moving a certain way. So maybe it's a picture of a child running, or it shows, a picture of a child spinning. The other ones I have are all word-based, so I'm trying to combine both visual representations using pictures, because we know our little ones are still developing their ability to read and identify words. So I'm using pictures and then also matching that to the words, so they're starting to match that up. So at school, what we did the other day is we had all of our locomotor and non-locomotor movement cards, both pictures and words. And at the top of my chart, I made locomotor and non-locomotor, or you can use space or place for your kids. And then with my students, we had all the cards in front of us, and then we classified which movements belonged in which category. Was it a locomotor movement or a non-locomotor movement? So right away, we're working on classification skills for our little ones too. And I think it's really important as dance educators. Of course, we're always wanting to think of where is this going in terms of this little one's, dance technique, dance skill, and dance education. But what I really find right now is, in order to be competitive in the market, we know we have a market of parents who want to try lots of different things for their kids, and I think that's great. But if you are really able to explain to parents all the other skills you're working on outside of just the basic dance skills, you have added value to your program. If I can say to my parents, not only is your child going to be working on galloping and skipping and foundational physical literacy and dance skills, but we're also going to be developing their problem solving, their classification skills, their language development, their literacy skills. Right away, if I was a parent and one dance teacher told me they were going to work on all of that with my kids, and the other one's like, oh yeah, we're going to work on some basic ballet skills. At least for myself, I'm going to go with the teacher that has a little bit more of that expert touch and can talk to me about everything they're helping to develop in my child. So we use that for, again, classifying. And I could do the same thing if I was maybe looking at the concept of size. I might put big and small and have pictures that I can put into these little charts, and the kids can help me classify them. Pictures of different big or small items or words if you're working with older kids. We can classify it. So it's a great way to introduce a concept. I also like to use these for putting together movement sequences and basic choreography with students as well. So sometimes we'll mix up our movement word cards or our movement picture cards, and then we'll place them together in a sequence on the chart, and I'll put on some music for the little ones, and either individually or in small groups or with partners, using the sequence that we've created across the top of the chart, they're going to start working on their own choreography. And you can do this with kids as young as 3. I've done it with my 3-year-old full-year performance programs. They work on student choreography at the end of the year, same as all of my students through my programs, because I feel that's another really important skill for dancers to have. Not just to be able to imitate or replicate choreography that's set on them, but being able to create their own choreography. So they're really expressing their own ideas of dance and their own style. So if you use pictures with your little ones, you could set up, them in order, and the little ones have a visual reference they can look back to if they can't remember. It's a great way, again, to work on classification and just to have those words up again in your studio. And it's nice and light, so if you are a portable teacher, I mean, this is really easy. I can fold it up and it would fit really nicely into my hockey bag, because again, I told you that's what I like to use. Or in my classroom, because it's a permanent setup, I just have some grommets and they just hang on my wall, so I can hang it there for as long as I need. And you can also get freestanding stands that these hang off of. You can get those from lots of teacher stores online. Some of them even have wheels, so if maybe you're moving around a school, you're not staying in one spot, you can do it that way too. So just some fun new props, some ideas to give you on how I use things in my classroom, both in a private studio setting and as well in a school setting as well. So yeah, we have some new visuals coming up. The Halloween Brain Dance package drops this Friday, and if you've joined our mailing list, I'll be doing that draw on Friday morning to pick 5 winners to win. And if you're not sure what that package is all about, you can definitely check out, we've pinned our little sneak peek promo video of that package, but it's a totally fun one for Halloween. Beautiful visuals, coloring sheets, demonstration videos that you can either use as teacher tutorials, or because I know I have a lot of followers now who are classroom teachers themselves, great for subs to just pop it up onto your smartboard or a screen that you have in your room, and the kids can dance along to the videos. So if you were a dance teacher or a music teacher, I know how hard it is sometimes to find subs who can actually teach music or dance, so you tend to need things that are a little bit easier for them. Use those videos. They can be a great substitute teacher plan as well. But definitely check that out. We've got a lot more visuals coming up over the next 2 months. Those will be added to the shop. And next week I'll have a teacher tip video for you on how I use the brain dance poster, which is also on sale right now in our store for $10. I will show you how I use that poster to introduce brain dance to new students, how I was doing that with my preschool dancers as well as my kinders and grade 1s this week who hadn't done brain dance before, and a little new brain dance song that you can do with it. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. I will definitely post this to the page. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the just comment boxes below. And thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.